what we've really had to do is just take our ego out of the conversation.
Right.
We can't be running campaigns in a vacuum as a marketing team.
Yeah.
We have to open up and get the input from the people who know these accounts best.
Right. Today we have Hayley Parr here, who is the Director of B2B Marketing for Certus, which is a professional education, technology, training, and certification company.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
Hayley, thanks for being here.
It's always a pleasure to come to Chicago.
It's a great place to be,
It
especially
really
in the
is.
summertime.
And the sun's shining today.
And the sun is shining. You wouldn't know that by watching this video, but trust us, it's definitely shining outside. It was raining yesterday, so you timed it perfectly.
I did.
All right, we're going to talk about ABM today, which, and I Googled, by the way, we're talking about acronyms today. My understanding is it stands for anti-ballistic missiles.
Ooh,
which is exciting.
Your Google results were a little off on that one.
Okay.
We're going to talk about account-based marketing.
Okay, account-based marketing. That's more on brand.
Okay. I didn't want to disappoint you
Okay.
with the lack of knowledge on missiles.
No, I'm glad that you corrected me because I actually thought, I just looked at the first Google response.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
That sounds good. That'll be way more on theme
Yeah.
here. Okay, so before we jump into that though, maybe you could just do a quick intro of, what is your role at Certus? What do you do?
Yeah. So as the Director of B2B Marketing, it's a focus more on finding other companies, other enterprises, essentially, that need training solutions at a larger scale.
Okay.
So when you think of certain types of training that we would sell under the different brands, under Certus, OSHA training, technical training, simulations, instructor-led training, you can buy one and just be off to the races, or you could need a bunch of it all at once for your team, buying on behalf of your team.
Right.
And so my role is working with the B2B marketers specifically to find those accounts, those other big companies that need that larger scale solution for technical training, digital training, so training you get online, simulations, hands-on stuff.
Right. I saw that you were a bartender in a former life.
I was. I absolutely
I worked at
was.
Chili's.
Did you?
Before, so I feel like our Venn diagrams kind of overlap a little bit.
Cool.
I wasn't I bartended in college a little bit, but I wasn't very good. If the name of the drink, if the ingredients of the drink were in the name, then I could do
sure.
it. Like a rum
Gin
and Coke,
and tonic.
Gin and
yeah,
tonic.
yeah. My bartending was at a combination restaurant, bowling alley, bar. So on
Love that.
Fridays, I was a little bit of everything.
Yeah. That's
so
awesome.
it prepared me for this role.
That's what I was gonna say was how does that play into your is it multitasking? Is that what it is?
It's multitasking. It's evaluating your target audience's wants and needs and anticipating those by cracking open a Bud Light and setting it down before Jim walks in because it's Thursday afternoon.
And that's what Jim needs after a long, hard day of working.
Serving his needs at the right time with what he needs and wants in the moment.
I love how you tied that together. You're definitely a true marketer. Help me understand kind of how are you set up at Certus? Like what's the B2B marketing team? Is there a certain amount of people? Like what are some of the activities you guys are doing? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so account-based marketing is just one facet, but we also take on a lot of diverse omni-channel tactics to reach these people.
Yeah.
So we're kind of structured by product line.
Okay.
I think I mentioned earlier, we covered a lot of different types of training, and so we've got a division that is digital training. So you go online, you buy a subscription, you get access to a library of courses. So supporting enterprises looking to buy that subscription for a number of people. That's one team. And then we've got a team on our instructor-led training, which is we're sending these very experienced instructors into either a conference room, like a seminar that people register for at a certain date and time and location, or a custom, we're sending them on site to a facility to really learn the machinery and the processes.
That specific
and the people.
machinery, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's our instructor-led division. We also have a team on We've got food safety is another area that enterprise touches. So making sure that large organizations that handle and process and serve food and alcohol are following the rules and a lot of regulation in that space. There's a division on vocational and technical training. So the schools that are buying training for curriculum and businesses that are buying training, as well as, what am I missing?
I mean, there's a lot.
It's quite the team. And so that's how we're structured, right? Is like, I have a team of very, they've got diverse skill sets and they're able to be redundant on the tactical side, but they're really, really knowledgeable in the product line by market, which is really, really cool, because then you're able to be agile. Like, okay, something changed in the market with this particular product type, vertical, whatever's going on. So they're able to like tweak the tactic mix to meet those specific needs at a given time.
They're connecting some dots. They're pulling in different products together to make it work. Introduce me to account-based marketing. Like, what is it if people, I mean, I feel like that's a term that's been used for a long time, but just to ground everybody.
It has been used for a long time, but I feel like it's recently been kind of a buzzword in the marketing space. You go to a conference and that's what people are talking about, but it's because it's a simple concept, but it's not an easy concept. So you think of traditional marketing, you think of your radio, your TV, you're blasting out a message to a wide audience, and then hoping that
Super Bowl ad.
Yes, Super Bowl ad, not cheap at all.
7 million.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Super Bowl ad, but hoping that enough eyeballs trickle through and enough decision makers have been hit with your message that someone will eventually come down the funnel, make a purchase. Awareness to purchase. ABM is the opposite. So it's, I know who I want to promote my product to. I have a specific company account in mind where our solutions could really solve a problem that they have. And that's the company. So I'm going to learn everything I can about that company. Who they are, how many employees they have, how many they might need to train, what their pain points are, what their wants are, what their needs are, so that I can tailor a message to them at the right time. And
how do you do that? You're doing research. Are you buying information? Are you? I mean, where do you even start?
It is a collaborative approach. So what's worked really well for us is having these regular touch points with our sales leadership and coming to the table and saying, we're seeing some really interesting stuff on these 5 accounts. Here's what we think we're seeing, what might be happening based on the pages that they're hitting, the things that they're searching.
And you bring this information to the sales team?
We bring it to the table, to this conversation. We give it to them ahead of time so they can see, okay, here's what we want to talk about.
For the introverts in the room, they don't always need to give them a couple days to digest it.
That's absolutely. But then we'll ask the hard questions like, are we wrong? Or is this accurate? What's actually happening here? Are you guys talking to these people? What conversations are going on? What other purchases or what other opportunities might have been opened in the past? What else is going on with this account? We learn so much, and we've had to humble ourselves because we're wrong often, and that's okay. As long as we have that open dialogue with the sales team to say, what's actually going on here? What's going to make sense? We're going to invest some dollars in advertising and these omni-channel tactics for a ABM campaign, but we want to make sure that we're on. And that it's a true representation based on what we as 2 departments know of what this account actually wants and needs. We want to make sure we're hitting them at the right time when they're ready to buy.
Timing is important.
Timing is huge. That's a key differentiator between like some traditional marketing tactics and ABM.
How do you get the timing right? Like what's the data point that's telling you this is when, not now, but in April?
Right, so that's where a lot of those tools can come in and can give you some digital signals. The things that they're searching, the titles of the hits, and then going to sales and asking the question, because sometimes it could be a large account that has locations all over the place, and it's someone on this coast just randomly searching, and then we're going to target these people over here, and then sales will be like, no, something else is going on there, or we just closed that account, for example, so they might just be hitting the page because they're trying to get logged in. So it's insights like that really, data will take you so far. But in our experience and what works really well for us, I can't speak for everyone running ABM, but what works really well for us and what we constantly strive to improve is that qualitative conversation that brings so much color and can have a really big impact on the ROI of the campaign.
So that's coming from the sales team.
It's coming from the conversation.
The conversation you're having with the sales. So you're obviously you're both sharing your points of view, and you're kind of saying, okay, well, based off of that, then you're corroborating.
Yeah.
Is that a word?
Corroborating. Collaborating.
Is it
and
collaborating and corroborating? Is corroborating?
I think it is.
How do you spell that?
I think it is.
Can we get a search? Okay.
With a W, yeah.
Cool.
With a W.
Cooperating. Corroborate. Well, so going back to corroborating the information, so that's what you're doing when you're getting together.
Yeah, and even, it sounds silly, but even the way we get together, the types of data we bring, the format of the report, the way we structure our pre-meeting research, constant evolution, constant. Like it's in the middle of a change right now for the better, in order to make it the most effective conversation possible. Do we have the right people in the room? Like, are we creating these campaigns in a way that's effective? Like, we'll surface past campaign performance in these conversations as well. We'll take a critical look at the messaging and the color of the button on the ad. You know, it's little things that...
It should be red, by the way.
We would never use a red
button. No? But maybe you should.
Maybe we should. So for one brand, maybe that will work.
You can corroborate that and let me know.
We'll corroborate it. But what we've really had to do is just take our ego out of the conversation. We can't be running campaigns in a vacuum as a marketing team. We have to open up and get the input from the people who know these accounts best.
Yeah, totally makes sense. So that, I guess that kind of goes to the flip side of the question. Like, when do people get account-based marketing wrong? It sounds like one of them is going to be when you don't bring in you don't bring in sales, you don't bring in this kind of cross
so
group of people.
It's, like I said, it's simple, but it's not easy. You have to take a critical look at how things are going and make changes. You can't expect instant results either, because you're not just going for one singular purchase. You're playing the long game, because you get the right account and you could be building a relationship with them and meeting their needs for a very long time. That's what you want.
And this probably it's probably important to say, like this account-based marketing thing, it comes up a lot in B2B and especially enterprise, because it is some cases, depending on what the company, a year-long cycle or more, or it could be less, but like, you're not going to spend that long on a customer to get them to buy a pair of shoes.
Like I'm wearing Rothy's right now, and I don't think I was on their account list, other than the fact that, millennial woman in the Midwest who likes eco-based shoe wear.
They nailed it. But
so that's another point, though, of like traditional marketing versus ABM. Like, there is demographic and firmographic data that could say these people might buy this. But the piece that sometimes things get wrong is, are they actually ready now?
The timing.
The timing aspect of it. So, like for us, it could look like this account they have the right amount of employees. They're in the right industry. Maybe they've purchased something like this in the past. And based on those three things alone, like, you could make an argument to say we should run a campaign. But do they actually want it right now? That's the ABM piece. Like,
got it.
Are we asking the right questions?
So you figure out, you have this research done, you sort of corroborate that information, make sure it's the right stuff, you kind of figure out the timing. Then what's the next step? Like, then are you communicating out to them in some way through a campaign or something? What does that look like?
So that's part of the collaboration as well, is like, what makes the most sense as a next step? It could be a display advertising campaign. It could be an email campaign. Like it could be a campaign of any number of tactics.
Yeah.
Or it might make sense to let some of our sales team work it a little bit more.
Yeah.
So who's doing what and when is always an ongoing question. It's not as clean as like we're always going to do a campaign in this way.
Yeah. So you don't have like a template approach where you're like, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3?
We've templated as much as we can.
Sure.
Because we've really scaled this program. We launched 47 ABM campaigns in 2023.
Whoa. And when you say 47, is that one per account?
So that's
means?
another call out is like there's different types of campaigns.
Okay.
So there's a one-to-one approach where it's exactly what it sounds like. One account, we're talking to them, we're calling their brand name out in the messaging, specific around their exact needs. Maybe if they have purchased something in the past, you could reference that, and here's what makes sense next in your solution lifecycle.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's a group of accounts that have like similar firmographic qualities and they're showing similar buckets of intent, they're hitting similar pages, and sales would approach them through our conversation. We learned that they would approach them in a similar way. That's a way that we can run a campaign and scale it a little bit. So maybe we've targeted anywhere from 1-to-1, we call them 1 diffuse, it's like 10 and under.
Right.
Or all the way up to like 400 accounts at once.
Yeah.
So
wow.
those get a little higher funnel. You aren't able
Can't
to
be too
personalize.
specific in
Yeah. That'd be really impressive.
Yeah.
If you found something in common with all 400. But it's what makes the most sense. Is it a marketing campaign? Is it sales outreach? Do we need contact information? What other tools could we use to find the decision makers that we need to talk to? So it's so custom in that regard that an ABM strategy requires 100% commitment and alignment between marketing, sales, leadership, everyone else who touches the execution of the campaigns. Because if you're going to do it, you're going to do it.
Right.
You have to check your ego at the door. You have to be ready to work with other departments in a very close collaborative way.
Right.
And you've got to commit or it's not going to work.
Yeah. Is there a way to help me, like, without getting too specific, like model this?
I'm going to make up. We noticed that a dog food manufacturing company is hitting our LMS demo page. They're just pounding it over the last 30 days. We're like,
really interested, clearly.
They're hitting it. They've filled out a few forms. They're searching LMS solution, which is learning management system,
yes.
right? So
that's
the software where you actually go find your training and take it. So they're showing all these digital signals that we might be interesting to them.
And this is one company.
And marketing is using our tools to get notifications of those signals, and we're getting really excited at this point. So we're like, hey, sales team, let's talk about dog food company. Here's what we're seeing. They're like, oh yeah, dog food company. They bought instructor-led training and some digital training. We've had some conversations in the last quarter, but they've kind of gone stale, and we could really use some marketing support and just more air coverage from an advertising perspective. I think a display campaign, and at this point, our sales team, they know the different types of campaigns, so
so they can speak that language.
They speak the language, and they're really helpful in helping us nail that down.
Yeah.
So maybe we run a display campaign, right, where the ads kind of follow people at that account based on their domain being that account. And we work with sales on the messaging. So it's got the right imagery, it's got the right message. We're calling out dog food company in the name.
Yeah.
They click on the ad, it goes to a custom landing page that we've created. Lead gen is really important in helping us take the anonymous to known, because otherwise it's just an IP address that we think is from this account. And so bringing that contact information into the fold really helps our sales team take that conversation to the next level.
Right. So they can reach out to a specific person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got the ad campaign.
Because they're an hand raiser now. Now they're really excited.
Yeah. It sounds like, there's steps to this process when it comes to account-based marketing. You got to identify. Obviously, there's research, there's bringing the teams together, and then there's kind of like a mindset, like you said. You have to be totally open to being wrong
Yeah. I'm
and
wrong
then-
a lot.
Yeah.
You check your ego at the door.
Check your ego at the door.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. Check your ego at the door. It's okay to be wrong. But I find though, if you're right all the time, it's way easier. You just have to be right all the time and you're never wrong.
Yeah, all the time.
Because if being wrong is right, I don't ever want to be right.
Wow.
That's a little quote.
I'm gonna be thinking about that one on the flight
Think
back
of it,
home.
it's a thinker. It's a motivational quote. You could put that on a poster.
Yeah,
you could
there you
send
go.
it to your team and see what they think. Or don't. It's up to you.
They hold me accountable, that's for sure.
So we got to have the right mindset. Is there anything else you think, like in terms of on the account-based marketing, like the stuff that you guys are doing that's working, that's interesting to share?
Yeah, I think that with the sales and marketing alignment being such a critical piece to a program running smoothly, I think celebrating the wins and sharing those out really helps teams build buy-in and get excited about what you're doing. Because it is a longer term play, you're not going to see instant results all the time. And so sometimes marketing will identify a metric as a win, but because a sales team doesn't speak that language to necessarily know that our cost per click has gone down and our impressions, like you have to kind of talk them through why that is a win and what it means and get excited about it.
And I think if you have to look at it, if to ground people in a language, like a traditional marketing funnel, I mean, at least the way that I see it is like you think about the awareness at the top, right?
Yes.
But the account-based marketing kind of happens more in the middle and even lower. And then sometimes people see the funnel as like there's kind of a fourth piece, which is that retention. It's people that you already have.
Retention and advocacy.
Advocacy.
Yeah, they're partners at that point.
Yeah. And if you have these big relationships, if you have these large, 1 year long deals, for example, that are big projects or big scopes, then account-based marketing is kind of a no-brainer for those types of clients and relationships.
Yeah.
What else did we miss? I feel like we got a lot of great stuff about like what's the mindset got to be, what's the relationship got to be. I mean, one of the things I think about is how do you get that commitment? I mean, like not everybody, I think, marketing leaders necessarily have experienced it and the value of it and what it can do. But it's a long-term play, so you have to, the company, the C-suite has to be in, has to get this, right?
And because it's also a language full of acronyms, especially 3-letter ones that we love so much that not everyone speaks. It's translating the results into the small wins and communicating those out.
Right. I got to ask this question. It's a little bit different. It's a little off topic, but I ask everybody this.
Okay.
What is one word or phrase that we should stop using at the workplace?
I would say things that are just total exaggerations, like fire drills.
Okay.
Not everything's a fire drill.
Not everything is a...
Because if everything's a fire drill, nothing's a fire drill, and then your building's going to burn down because a fire drill will happen, a real one.
Don't be the person who always pulls the fire alarm every single time something comes up.
That's right.
Metaphorically speaking. If you're doing that for real, then you're going to get in trouble. Don't do that.
Yeah, that's right.
So not everything's a fire drill.
Not everything's a fire drill. And then I'm not a huge fan of the ones that kind of shirk accountability, like, that's above my pay grade, or that's not my job. Like, because as we've discussed, the team wears, I was about to do it again, wears a lot of hats. Do you see how this happens? It's
unavoidable. But you know what word I think we should use more of?
What's that?
Shirk.
Shirk.
I just haven't said shirk in a long time.
Well, now you
but
will.
I like saying it.
No,
shirk.
Shirk and corroborate.
Yeah, and corroborate is a word that I think we should start using in the English dictionary just for funsies.
I think you're right.
So Hayley, thank you so much. This was awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing your perspective on account-based marketing. We didn't get into anti-ballistic missiles, but I think that's a different podcast.
I will have to Google that one myself.
Okay, please do.
And then I'll come back.
And then come back and we'll do this
because this was
again.
a delight. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Eu fango.